we watched you go through this final weekend, and your wife, I talked to your wife. You were standing there. We were in your hauler. I think it was Thursday or Friday. And so she says, I never seen him emotional. And you said after the race, I'm an emotional guy. I just don't show it.
Yeah.
There's a little clip on the internet of you getting out of the car and talking to your guys and with your family, right? You had this you spent an hour or more, 2 hours.
Thank you. That was your idea.
I figured you'd already planned that.
Yeah. No.
It looks similar.
Yeah. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He spent about an hour and a half, 2 hours on pit road, just having a couple beers, saying all your whatevers, right?
Yeah.
And we saw that emotion again right there that your wife spoke about.
Yeah.
I think she did an interview also sharing with the world, this guy got really emotional. There was this dinner that y'all went to. You got up to speak and you could hardly get through it.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? We have seen you sort of be this rigid, very, sort of, you got a hard shell, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think for me it was this. The last week was just extremely difficult, right? And I know you've been through this, but that last week of knowing that there's an end point to everything that is happening is different than every other week, because there's always a next week. And when you have that end and it's coming to an end, it's like, oh man, it's actually coming to an end. And then you start to think about things, and then you start to realize how much you care about the people and how much all those moments have meant, and knowing that they got to make decisions in their life that they've depended on you for a number of years. And really from the very beginning, it's been that way, right? The people depend on you. And we went through it in a very awkward situation in 2001 to have to realize that the people depend on you to go forward. And with RCR, it was that way with your dad's death, and then having to get in the car and drive, and knowing that you needed to do that because those people needed a job and they needed to eat, and the company needed to go forward. But you go back and you start thinking about all those things and all the great moments, and it's really it's an emotion of happiness and fulfillment of all the things that you've done, but all of a sudden all these things are just pouring on top of you of all these things that you've been through with these people week after week after week, and it's not just the people on your team, but for that last week of the season, for me it was about those people on your team, because I care about the people, because those people are what make it all go around, and they've sacrificed time and relationships and everything that they do so that car could go fast around the racetrack. And I just appreciate that. And I appreciate the things that go with the sacrifices that it makes, because we've all made sacrifices, and then you get around a group of people that are making those same sacrifices for you. And it's just, it got me time after time. And it was, whether it was the guys and gals on your team, or it was something about your kids, or something about a moment, or standing in the driver's meeting and everybody standing up and clapping for you.
How hard was that?
That was difficult.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they got me. They got me on that one too. So
what moments did we miss? What moments happened that we didn't see?
Yeah, well, it was the kids on the radio. Oh. I mean,
did you know that was coming?
I didn't know any of that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in the car and I'm like, all right, I'm finally in the car. Here come my kids. Here comes my kids on the radio.
God.
Warming tires up, crying, trying to figure out how you're going to get to pit road speed and do all those things. And it's you just I had a lot of advice, whether it was from you or Tony or Dale Jarrett or Mark Martin or whoever it was, Joe Girardi. I had a lot of great advice of how we should go about the last year, and I wouldn't have ever tried to plan it that way, because it was a lot of work. But man, it brought back so many great stories and so many great memories, and to walk out of that garage with the respect of your competitors and teams and crew chiefs and people. I mean, there's nothing better. I mean, there's not a race win in the world that will top that standing ovation in the driver's meeting, knowing that your people that you work with respect you. And to me, that's really all you have, right? It's the respect of the people, and I just I appreciate it. And I'm a lot like you. I love the sport, and now you're trying to figure out what do you do and what's your responsibility of making sure that the sport has what it needs going forward, because it gave me so much. Now it's like, all right, how do I make sure that I give back enough to help the next generation of people that are coming along?
Yeah, you were teammates with Burton. Burton has done such an amazing job of doing exactly that, right? He gets out of the race car, and he had already sort of become the shepherd of safety in a way as a race car driver, leading the conversations and pushing for improvements and change. And then when he got out of the car, he continues to take more and more responsibilities on that are even outside of his broadcasting responsibilities.
Yeah.
You talked about it yourself. You want to be at the drivers' council meetings. You want to be in the conversations between competition, owners, NASCAR, networks. You want to have, knowledge of every, working piece.
Yeah.
So that you can continue not only as a broadcaster to do a great job, but also you want to make sure the sport is going, in the right direction, but helping influence those decisions.
Yeah, I think obviously going forward, for me, the broadcasting piece is super important. I think as you take that responsibility on, it's a big responsibility, because you're telling the story of what you see, but I think that relationship with the competitors and the drivers and being able to walk in those haulers and talk to the crew chiefs or the drivers and not even think twice about it. Like, I have no problem walking up to the back of Joey Logano's hauler and walking in and walking right up in their lounge and saying, "Hey, what's going on, fellas?" But I think with that, and I go back to when you look back at somebody like John Madden, and you look at what he could do in the booth, but what he could do with the NFL and what he could do for the players and what he could do on the marketing side, and I think that's important to be able to try to take what you've taken from the sport and now try to take that and share it and build on it and be able to help build other brands with drivers, and I think as Jeff and I and many others have gone through the whole driver council thing, it's very apparent that there's a lot of questions and a lot of unanswered questions for our drivers as they go forward, because it's just become such a machine of, okay, get in the car, drive, you're 12, let's race late models, let's race trucks, let's race Xfinity, and here you are in Cup, and most of them had no idea why they even sat in their seat. They were just given a seat. They had no idea why they wore the suits that they wore. Guys, Kurt got hurt, and next thing you know, we've got concussions, and they don't know why they had the foam around their head and what it meant. And so that educating process has been a little lax over the last 15 years, 20 years of what the drivers need to know about the sport. And I feel like there's some low-hanging fruit there that we can help teach these guys what they need to know and help them be the rock stars that they need to be. Yeah. And everything's been so much about money and finances and how much it costs that we've kind of lost sight of how badass the guys are that are driving the cars. And I want to be a part of helping those guys build their brands up and become the rock stars that they should be.
Yeah.